everybody, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Geoff. But before I begin, let me apologize. I don't know what happened. I've had a computer that is just doing its own thing, so another taping from something started. Anyhow, we had to reboot and all that, so please, tell your friends to come back because you don't want to miss what we have in store for you today. This young lady that we're going to bring up is just a dynamite person. When she smiles, she lights up the room. You can feel her spirit from wherever you are in the world, right? Because we are an international presence today, right? So be sure you call your friends back up. If you're here, you're watching the recording, or you had a problem, I'm sorry. But guess what? That's what happens in technology, and we're here. We're going to show up today, and don't miss who I'm bringing to the stage today. Anyway, for those of you that don't know our show, our mission is to bring impactful guests like I was just talking about, that are willing to share their experience, their comebacks in the battle of life, right? And all the things that we face every day. That's right. Everything that we face every day is our own. It's a shared process. It's called living life on life's terms. And then they give you some empowering tools and some solutions so you can do something different in your life. I wrote something down today, and it says, how we see ourselves is how we treat ourselves. So I ask you this question. I always ask those of you that know me, when you look in the mirror, how do you see yourself? And is the conversation or the words coming back to you, are they treating you with empowering emotion? Or is it reminding you of things in the past or having you worry about things in the future? Hey, listen, we all have that, right? So anyway, stay tuned for our guest because she's going to talk a little bit about that stuff in her journey. And so for those of you that don't know, my name is Geoff Tyson, and I'm known as the Comeback King. And like many of you, life shows up and we find a way to make it work. We find a way to keep getting up. We get knocked down 999 times. Guess what? We get up 1,000 and get ready for the next battle, right? So anyway, let me just have a quick highlight of our guest here. The young lady I met a couple, recently. And the power of technology, right? And I just saw her and was connected. And she's a mom, woman of God first, a mom, wife, author. I want to hear more about her book, speaker, and someone that builds the community and really wants to work with people that are dealing with mental health, dealing with emotional health, dealing with trying to connect themselves to the spiritual path, whatever that journey might be. So listen up. Again, make sure you show some love in the chat. Drop some love all the way through this thing because it is a conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to the stage my new friend and our guest, Candice Bailey.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, it's so good to be here. So good to have this conversation with you. And before we start, I
Yes.
want to ask you two questions.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Why are you blaming the technology? Don't you know they're excited to have me here? And the second question is, are you prophetic? Because I'm not a mom yet. Are you trying to like call something on me before time? But you know what? You are not the only one because a lot of people have been putting this mommy label on me. And I'm like,
Oh,
I'm
man.
not ready. But maybe you all are seeing something I'm not seeing clearly. Oh, your excitement muted you, Geoff. Unmute. Oh,
Okay.
too much excitement here.
Thank you. So you can't keep it all to yourself. This greatness needs to be spread.
Exactly.
And so, yes, I'm speaking it into not real soon, maybe. I'll give you a little time. But
Thank you. I'm so honored that you care so much about my well-being right now.
yes. Well, anyway,
Wow.
almost had it right. It's not things about being perfect. It's about showing up and doing
Exactly.
something, right?
I am the firstborn girl, so I've mothered a lot of siblings. So you know what? I'll give you a E for effort. That's definitely.
Oh,
We in a good place. Don't worry. Don't worry.
thank you. I appreciate it. I need all the help I can get. I'll just keep it real with you.
Yes.
So anyway, now that I've got you back here, we're figuring out. So tell us, we know you're not a mom yet, but man, there's so many things that we want to talk about, and we don't have all day to do that. And first of all, if I hadn't said again, I want to say it one more time. Thank you.
Mm.
And I'm looking forward to this time, and everybody that's dropping in, we'll make sure that they know how to get a hold of you. So let's talk about Candice Bailey. I mean, I didn't mention this. I mean, just we like to bust excuses on this show too, right? We like to
Mhm.
eliminate reasons why people don't step into their greatness.
Right.
And you home. Tell us where home is and how you ended up where you are. Maybe we start there. And
Definitely.
yes, please.
Definitely. Well, first of all, I love your title, The Comeback King. I was like,
Yes.
okay, I need to find that title, The Woman That Has Been Stretched. And I'll explain that later on in our conversation.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I am originally from Trinidad and Tobago, the beautiful Twin Island Republic.
Yes.
And I was born and raised in this very humble and simple home in South Trinidad.
Mm,
I grew up amongst a lot of young men and one sister.
mm,
So I would have known what it felt like to grow up on the block and hang out with the guys until they realize, hey, you are female, you need to be inside, go inside. But
mm.
my childhood has been really interesting and a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And one day, it was a Thursday morning in the year 2000. I was getting ready to lie to my parents that I was sick so that I could avoid a maths exam at school. I was in primary school at the time. I was just 9 years old. And little did I know that that day, the roller coaster ride will stop, all the electricity will go, and I would have to get off the ride because something happened. I
Oh,
got the sudden news that my father died in a sudden car crash.
mm,
And that is when everything turned around for me, and childhood moved from me being 9 to now 19
yeah.
to deal with me and my other siblings and just navigating life. So I met grief really early in life. And
Yeah.
I think that changed the trajectory for me in a big way. The way I see life, the way I see relationships,
Mm.
and even how I saw men at a particular point in time, because I just felt like the one man who I knew loved me because I was a daddy's girl is
Oh,
now gone. So
mm,
how am I going to get that connection? How is this void going to be filled? So, a little bit about me. I've always been a creative person. I think dealing with the death of my father, my mother saw that I had some artistic skill in me, so she decided to enroll me in the drama ministry at church. So I
wow.
started to get some lead roles in
Yeah.
some of those plays, and then I went to school, high school, and I was not settled. I was trying to figure out myself. I was trying to figure out what I wanted. And it was the first time, even though I grew up around males, it was the first time that I went to a school that was co ed. So it's both male and female. So I was
Oh.
like, oh, we have to share space together. How is this going to happen? And I don't understand. Why would they put the boys' bathroom right next to the girls' bathroom? I just
Yeah.
found that was weird. So,
That's
in
good
all,
question.
yeah, so I had to navigate what it felt like dealing with boys in my space.
Mm,
I had to deal with coming to a school that was in the middle of a cane field, far from the city. I was like, God, what are you trying to do to me? So I've had a very adventurous life, but just to name a few things, I'm an author, I'm a speaker like yourself, and speaker of impact, and
yes.
I love people, I love serving, and I
Mm.
recently got married, and that is a story by itself. I don't know if it will be able to be unpacked in this episode and conversation, but just a little bit about me. I am creative Candice who
Yeah.
loves God, loves life, loves people, and loves to have conversations like these.
Oh man. So we've got the right person here today. So Candice, and thank you for sharing that I didn't know about your dad, and I love how you phrased it. You going from 9 years old to 19, assuming the responsibilities,
Mhm.
and just from listening to you, I can see the grace in how you absorbed that and navigated that, and it now kind of speaks to that kindred spirit, that deep seasoned spirit that I see from you,
Right.
and get that warmth and that from the smile. So, and then going to co-ed schools, and man, So, yeah, just for those folks that could be facing that now, because things are happening and people are losing their parents. What's
Mhm.
one thing before we move away from that? What's one thing that you learned that you'd like to share
Yeah.
with those folks that may be in that situation
Mhm.
right
Yeah. I think this is something I learned very recent, especially after writing my book. I learned that, you know, when we lose someone and we're going through the grieving process, part of it is a bit selfish, and it was a hard pill for me to swallow because God promises, and by the way, I'm a believer, God promises that He will never give us more than we could bear. So sometimes we have to also look at it from a different angle and see that God, in His wisdom, would have looked down the corridors of my father's life and saw, you know what is to come? I don't think you could bear it. And I
now?
rather you rest in peace and I have you with me than you go through life and you lost your way and you are further from me than when you were at the point when I took you to sleep, because
Yeah,
death is asleep. So for me, for those who are going through stuff, grieving is different, just as our fingerprints are different. Your
yeah,
process is different from my process. And a lot of people, I want you to just get rid of all the myths around grieving where it says, oh, this will pass, you will get over it. Grief is not something you get over, it's something you grow through. You don't
yes,
get over it, it's something you grow through. You
yes.
learn you learn techniques and strategies of how to cope and how to
Mm,
navigate. And the last thing I will tell you is grief is your greatest teacher. It
mm,
teaches you to reassess and give you a fresh perspective of those in your space that you need to value more. Because we never know. Today could be me, tomorrow somebody else. So I just believe, let us, my mom says, and tomorrow is actually her birthday. She says, love all you can, while you can, when you can. Because you
mm.
don't know when you can't.
Wow.
Right? So I like to live by that, because sometimes we get into arguments and disputes and we're like, we don't have control of the next minute of our lives.
Yeah.
We have to really learn how to forgive quick. And one big thing about grief is guilt. The
Mm,
guilt that comes with, did I do enough? Did I
yeah.
support enough? Was I there? Was I present? And we have to give ourselves grace, because guilt could make us grieve to our grave. And I
Yeah.
don't want that to happen to any of us.
Wow. Wow. I mean, I'm taking notes, by the way, so I'm paying attention because I want to learn some things, and you're just dropping some really powerful bombs, like guilt, you know, and grief, and everybody's grief is different, like fingerprints. And I was just
Mhm.
talking to a lady today about instantly losing people that you never thought would disappear,
Yes.
and the last things that we have, the last words that they remember that we remember.
Hmm.
Are they loving and kind, or were they ones that you wish you could get back? Because once it comes out, you can't ever get it back.
Exactly.
And I'm sorry it doesn't necessarily do anything at the time. You know.
Mhm.
So Candice, I really like that, and not being guilty over it. So many different things in there. So really powerful stuff. So is that kind of what leads you towards some of the things that you do for people? And what's you
Mhm.
talk a little bit about? I'm thinking it's connected somewhere.
Yeah, it is. I was watching this movie called Flight. I believe Denzel Washington was the main actor, the lead actor. And there was this scene in the movie where Denzel went out in the corridors of the hospital to smoke after, trying to save the aircraft from crashing. Some persons died, and he had to just go through that moment of, am I a hero or a villain right now? And he was in the corridor smoking, and there was this guy who was, going through cancer and trying to recover from cancer, and he came out to smoke, and he said, I'm trying to give my cancer, and he just had like a real positive outlook on his life. I mean, it wasn't the best thing to be smoking while he's going through cancer, but that was his way of dealing with it. And
Right.
he said one word, one sentence that never left me.
Mm,
He said, death brings perspective.
wow.
And when I heard that,
Mm,
it un it unlocked a lot of things for me. Candice, what is your view of your life? Why are you here? What is your why? What has God sent you to the earth to contribute to in a positive way? What solutions are you going to be a part of in solving? And since then, I have made it my motto, wherever I'm planted, I'm not just going to be blooming, I'm going to be a blessing. And I decided years ago that no matter what is happening in my life, I am going to allow God to help me to become resilient. Like I'm talking to the comeback king here, so he knows
I
a
know.
lot
Yeah.
about falling down, getting back up again, dusting
Mm,
your feet off and running. And I was just in a place where I grew up around seeing a lot of stuff that I probably should not have seen, like witnessing women that I know very close to me being abused, domestic violence. Um, and for some reason, in my career of being an actress, they would always give me the role of the woman who is bitter, who is being abused, all these different things. So I felt like I was living the lives of these women,
yeah.
and that gave me the empathy and the compassion to go and do community work. So a couple of years ago, I was a part of a theater company that used theater for positive change in the communities,
Nice.
right? So it was called Drama Making a Difference. And while there, we got this amazing, like, I think this was the best work I've ever been a part of. This amazing opportunity to work with a group of women from different communities
Mm,
and help them, like, give them an outlet to share their stories of abuse and then use their stories and incorporate it into a dramatic presentation that we could now use as a teaching tool and teaching point to
mm,
help communities respond to what we are seeing.
yeah.
And that was one of the best times of my life. By the way, it was one of the most stressful times of my life, but one of the most rewarding times of my life because I didn't get to sleep. I was not eating properly. My weight was fluctuating, but all I knew is I had to give my heart and soul to this project. Like
Mm,
the investors saw it as a project, I
yes.
saw it as purpose.
Yeah.
And I definitely had to do my all. I was one of the leads on this project. And I remember there were times when the money was running out, the funds
Mm,
were running out. I
mm,
remember there were times I had to literally be dropped home last after
mm.
we drop home the busload of girls and women to their various homes and make sure they walked into their home safely. And I remember when one night when they dropped me home, I was like, God, I want to cry, but I also want to rejoice because I feel like I'm doing something positive for the first time in my life.
Wow.
And since then, God has given me opportunities to travel the globe and make impact with my art, with my words, with just who I am. And a lot of what I do today, um, with the person God has given me to live life with. We started a ministry from my book, The Stretched Out Life. And now we coach women and men of how to navigate preparation for marriage by understanding to get clear on their mission,
Yes.
understand their ministry, and
Yes.
of course, understand that their mental health is vital to them showing up as their best selves or as their stretched selves, as we like to say it. So yeah, it's been a it's been a whirlwind, but it's been a calm sea in the midst of everything. And I'll never ask for a different life. Like I can't wait to see what 2025 looks like and the end of 2024. We are in the last quarter, Jeff.
That's quarter, girl. We gotta do it.
Woo! Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Put the gas down, baby. Take the brakes off and let's climb. And I want to go back for just a second before we move
Sure.
forward. And you said something, Candice, around that time being the most impactful, just stressed and just, man, just it sounded like it was equivalent to the blessing in terms of the magnitude
Mm-hmm.
of the struggle,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, that's what we talk about. And I believe that we those that are chosen for a reason, and then they are baptized in the struggle, right?
Yes.
And then if they accepted the responsibilities and they do what
Mm-hmm.
you've done, they come out on the other side and have impact like that. I just so man, there's so many things in there, mission and ministry, and so thank you for sharing that. You know, and there's probably some more things in there I'd like to ask about the dropping off piece and you being last. You know, but I want to kind of keep moving because there's so many other things. But maybe we have time to come back to that because I think there's something in that
Yeah.
piece. You know, and so now the mission, the ministry, and the mental health, and then your partner. Let's talk about newlywed marriage.
Yes, go there, go there. They need it.
let's shift into that
Mm.
because I'm curious to now you guys are teaching that, and usually we teach from our own lessons.
Yes,
So
yes. Yeah, I'll
so
go there. I'll go there. So, what I would and this is my honest review of, by the way, Jeff, we are in October. October 15th will make it 1 year I'm married.
um,
So though it's 1 year, it feels like 15, and I'll explain why. I'll explain why.
please
So
do.
when like within the first 3 months of marriage, I'm not gonna lie, it was every day was, oh, happy day. Like there was no clouds in the sky to rain on my parade, anything like that. Everything was just amazing.
Mm,
Then came month 4, when, and this is the best way I could explain it, is like, you always wanted this new couch set. It's lily white. It's very comfy. You don't want a grain of salt to fall on this. And you really take good care of it. But by a few months later, eventually you start putting your foot up on it. You stop dusting off your feet. You stop wiping it down. And that's how it goes. And you
Little
just,
food on it.
exactly. And you get a comfy spot. In fact, the right hand corner of the couch starts to smell like and you just become one with it. And I realized that marriage, it goes through seasons and phases that nobody really told me about, and I had to just be, learning on the spot. Um, One thing I recognize is that I am a very extreme extrovert married to a very extreme introvert, and we do our best to keep the balance going. Now, one of the things that I love is that we both entered with a strong level of commitment. And that was very important for us. We both entered with a strong level of education and preparation. Because
Yeah.
even though we were single for a while, we were preparing for this for a very long time. And I believe how you enter a thing is how you experience a thing,
Oh yeah.
and
Yes.
one of the things that I love is that early o'clock we were able to institute certain stuff. So I'm gonna expose my business here and share. We have this thing, and I know it's not new under the sun. According to the Bible, there's nothing new under the sun. But we have something called the 20 minutes. And
Mm,
when things get heated,
mm,
each of us could say, time out, I need a 20 minutes. And the other person has to stay quiet for that 20 minutes or however long it takes for this person to get everything off their chest.
yes.
And I remember in those moments, I was now building a new muscle. The muscle
Mm,
was stay quiet and listen.
mm.
And it wasn't something I was used to because Candice had to be talking
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
24/7,
yeah.
even in her sleep. And I had to learn that my husband, he processed things through thinking and thought. And
Mm,
I process things through talking and
mm,
chatter.
mm.
And we had to find the commonality in that. Another thing is, um, and I don't know how real and raw we could be in this conversation,
Hey,
but
we're adults. We're adults, so let's
one thing, so of course we had a Christian counselor, a pastor counseling us, and he used the last 2 sessions to talk about sex and intimacy, right? By the way, it was not something I was comfortable with talking about because I just felt like that is something you just do and just don't talk about it. But we had to talk about it. And when he was talking about, okay, so, you know, have you all decided, what's your intimate schedule be like, whatever, whatever, whatever. And then he started to go in to explain different ways you could express intimacy and whatever. And I was like, okay, I did not read the fine print. I didn't know it was going to be like this. But I'm saying all this to say that I have learned that God has used intimacy and sex as a way of creating that binding process. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like when you're making bread,
Yeah.
there's certain agents you need to bind the flour together.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize every time you decide not to be intimate, not to have sex, not to communicate with each other on that level, you are depriving the relationship of getting that time to bind, to
Yes.
come together.
Yes.
And remember, it's a miracle of two people becoming one.
Yes.
So you can't just become one in conversation. You have to become one in every aspect of what makes you human.
Yes.
And I didn't get that.
Mm.
So, me, busy me. I had to learn, Candice, you are no longer single, you're now married. So some of the single habits you can't bring into the marriage.
Yeah.
So there were times he just wanted to settle down and calm down and be relaxed. And I was like, so we're not going out? We're not going somewhere? What's happening? That was my buzz,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I think I had to learn that. I also had to learn the importance of praying together,
Mm.
like, praying
Mm.
together really helps you stay together because
Yes.
in prayer, we get that third party to share our hearts, and the other person gets to hear what's on our heart as well.
Yes.
And my husband comes from a background where he lost his father when he was young too.
Mm.
And the way he dealt with the loss is different the way I dealt with my loss.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think we have like different perspectives on death and life.
Yep.
And I think what is very important in marriage, you need to sit down and say, okay, what does your card say? Okay,
Mm.
how do you view this particular aspect of life?
That's right.
How do I view this particular aspect of life? And then we find the loopholes and we find some common ground to say, hey, now I understand this is where you're at. And while we were in the marriage, and there was a time where I just couldn't get enough of him. I needed to sit down next to him, hold his hand. I was just on cloud nine, that kind of way. And then somebody come to pop my bubble and say, "Oh, y'all in the honeymoon phase," and I was like, "Nope." I pulled out my soapbox and I said, "There's why does the honeymoon have to end?
Yeah.
Like, why can't we just have a eternal honeymoon? Like." And I
All
told
the
him,
time. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, the honeymoon ends when you decide to stop putting honey in the moon?
Come on, girl. Say that one more
And
time. That's it.
so,
It never
so I
ends
was
until
like,
you say it's over. That's right.
exactly. So I was like, no, I don't want it to end. And then I kind of understand what they meant. They said, it's
Mm.
not that it ends, it just looks different. It
Yeah.
just feels different. There's a different level of maturity. It's like wine, even though I don't drink wine. It's
Yeah.
like wine. It matures, it changes,
Changes.
the structure changes, the taste changes,
Yeah.
it changes color.
Yeah.
And with those changes, you need to adapt and be accountable to each other. So in all, marriage is beautiful. I'm
Yeah.
still in love. I've learned that, and there were two things somebody told me, and I wish I wrote it down on a napkin
Mm.
somewhere, but I can't remember. But what she was trying to say is, you know, whatever you are doing to him, you are doing to you.
Mm.
And whatever you want out of the marriage, make sure you keep putting it in and a lot of it.
Yeah.
So for me, our marriage is a ministry.
Mm.
Our marriage is a mirror, and
Yeah.
our marriage is a mill. We get to work out things together. We get to reproduce and manufacture things together. So I think persons who are entering marriage, make sure you enter with a solid mind, a sober mind, spiritual grounding, and that you are willing to adapt to whatever changes come. Because trust me, you may plant a plant, it will look different in winter. It will look different in spring and fall. And summer, it might just get very dry. But
Yeah.
you have to do your best to keep that plant nourished and watered.
I love all of this, and You talked a lot, man. There was so much stuff in there. So anybody out there that's listening to this, y'all need to sit back down and run through what she's talking about. So many different things, and I, you talked about the spiritual, sexual piece of it, and how you were uncomfortable with that, and then sign up for that. But then the value and understanding, and talks about it in there that as much as we focus on each other, one another as a couple, I wanted to talk about how for those of you out there that may have some other things going on, and there's some turmoil in the marriage, and so maybe you're looking a little longer at the young lady that had a tight dress on, you're looking a little longer at the man in the $1,000 suit than you should, and how that impacts that bread you're talking about, how that gets mixed in with all of that, even if you don't have anything physical, even if you never even meet these people. If you're stuck in that space and it becomes an obsessive compulsive thing, how it can rotten the bread, how it doesn't go away. Right? And I love how you put that piece together, and how important it is to have a physical, intimate, sexual relationship, Candice. I just wanted to talk about that for those out there that may be on the other side of what you're talking about and not working in it, that those types of behaviors impact.
Exactly. Whatever you do in your single life, it transfers and it matures in your marriage.
And your family's life. You bring it to your family, your marriage, your family's life, and it transfers into things that you learn as well. So I love all of that. And when you talk about ministry, mirror, and meal, right? And the difference, the process and the time. So a lot of great stuff in there, Candice. And for someone that's only been married a year, you don't have to be married 100 years to understand some things and put some work in it. So clearly, and before I say shut up, extreme extrovert, introvert, and y'all make it work.
Yeah.
And I'm not an extreme extrovert, but I'm more extroverted than my wife is. I'm more of the leap and build the wings on the way down, and my wife is in corporate and banker and all these other things. And so, it was like there was some work on that difference. Candice, I want to tell you that the work in that made me value her even more. Made me appreciate her differences even more, right? And it's a deeper
connection.
Than someone that is common. We have a lot of things in common when we do these things. So, opposites do attract, but they repel too. So you got to do some work.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I always tell people that never entertain anything that doesn't edify your marriage or your relationship. And that is from the thoughts you entertain, the people you entertain, the things you watch, the things you listen to. And I had to learn how to protect and secure that sacred circle between him and I. So I'm a very transparent person. And I think it rubbed him the wrong way when, I'd be open with my girlfriends and my family members and share certain things. And he was like, no, that's our business to keep, not to share. And I was like, it's not a big deal, And then I had to respect that. And he also helped me to kind of come down a bit. So he says our marriage is like a rubber band. He pulls me off the edge and I pulls him into a space where it's safe and balanced. So we balance each other. And marriage is work, but it's worthy work. It's worthy work because I believe it's one of the best personal development plans out there. And if somebody believes that marriage is not their calling, that's quite okay. I still believe we still have to get good with how we manage and maintain our relationships.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. There's so many things in there. And I think we talked, and we'll move off of this, but there's one other thing too. I like the 20-minute piece. Find whatever that is that works, because it's kind of like, I think I shared something with you that he talked about when you come home, fellas, when you come home from work and your wife is there, that, you make sure that you guys have it set up. Hey, you know she's going to have something to say to you. You know she's got all of these things. So don't come in there and be on the phone or all that. Give yourself a mental time frame around where you can be focused on her, right? With intention. And just kind of like what you guys pick something that you can keep yourself from saying things and behaving in ways you cannot take back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I love that. I love that. So, and so all you old folks out there that have been married a long time, and you just heard some wise stuff, and it takes some work. So I ask you, what kind of work are you doing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what can you learn from what she shared? A lot of stuff. I got a page and a half of just that section. So anyway, thank you for that piece of it. I want to get to because it's already been 30 something minutes. I really want to tell us about the book. You know, kind of in a summary as why the book, what it's used, and how's it helped.
Yes, Jeff. So, what people may know about me is that I've been an actress for over 15 years and I've traveled the globe. And what they may also know is that I've really been a person who is a big advocate for women and domestic violence and mental health. But the one thing that they won't know, or some people don't know unless they read the book, is that 2 years ago, I was engaged to someone that I loved dearly. And on Father's Day, that was the 19th of June, 2022. That was the last conversation I had with him because he collapsed while sharing the word of God at his aunt's funeral. And that was one of the most devastating days of my life because I did not know what else to do. And I could only talk with this amount of strength relaying this story because I've done the work of being stretched.
Yes.
And from that experience, God whispered to me, there's more that I have you to do. And that's where I got the concept of the stretched out life because the stretched out life is trusting the process of being pulled, pressed, and pushed by God. And that has always been my life. And I did not realize God had a book prepared for me long before I knew I would even write a word. And it was my life. It was him telling me, I need for you to reframe the way you look at your life, the way you look at the struggles, the way you look at the trials I've sent your way. And I define the stretch as any situation or struggle that God temporarily places you in to build capacity and for you to reflect his character. That's basically what it is. And most of us, we run from building capacity and reflecting God's character because the struggle is too real or the
Yes.
pain is too pressing. But I had to push into losing him. I lost my father 6 months the same year after losing my father. I lost his father, which was my grandfather. And
Mm,
then a lot of men started to die. Big soldiers in my life started to collapse. And
mm,
I felt really really powerless. And I think because of that void of not me knowing what innocent, pure, genuine love feels like from a man, it was hard for me to, have healthy relationships with males.
yeah.
And that's why it was so uncomfortable for me to talk about touch and sex and all of these things because I don't know what looks safe from what isn't safe.
Yes.
And the book is basically my testimony. It's
Mm,
a blueprint of how to navigate
mm,
all the issues of life from depression to anxiety to grief. How do we deal with moments of sorrow? How do we deal with moments of sickness? How do we come back from moments of feeling defeated? So the book is basically my message to the world of you want to embrace the stretch of your struggle because
mm,
the stretch and the struggle is going to strengthen you for the road ahead. So that's
mm.
basically what the book is about. So I encourage everybody to live the stretched out life because that's the only life. A lot of people say, I want to live my best life. Nothing is wrong with wanting the best for your life, but guess what? That best for your life is going to be mixed, paved with a road of struggle and pain. And the more you embrace it, accept it, acknowledge it, see it for what it is, and
Mm,
understand that death brings perspective and struggle brings strength. That
yeah.
is the only way you will navigate all of these things in life. And I tell people all the time, me getting married was not an easy road. I had to go through a framework which I teach my clients all the time in coaching. Go through these 4 M's. Your mission. You
Mm,
must work on your personal development. Your
mm,
ministry. You must do something that is connected to developing people. That's your people development.
right.
Your marriage. You have to prepare for the partner. You don't get to prepare when you already say, I do. You have to prepare beforehand. And of course, your mental health. And that is the place of decision. This place called the mind needs to be developed because if it's not constantly developed, it's going to destroy you because the mind is a powerful thing to waste. And I tell people all the time, me being engaged and going through this relationship was preparation for what was to come. Was it hard? Yes. Is it still painful? Of course. I wanted to give up on relationships because I felt, even though I wasn't married to him, because we were so close, I felt like a widow. I felt like who would want somebody who have gone through this? People would see me as cursed. I felt bitter and broken and angry at God. And
Mm,
then when he told me, hey,
mm,
you accepted a life that I gave to you. Now you could decide to go and live your own life, but that life would not bring you the happiness and fulfillment that you could find in me. So you
mm,
have a choice to make. Is either you want the stretched out life or you want the best life. And I chose the stretched out life, and that's the life I'm living today. And I want you to know I look nothing like what I've been through. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. And one thing I know for sure is God has given me the ability to smile through the storm. He
mm,
has given me the ability to look at the clouds and say, okay, I see you. I see you.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, Jeff, I would not have it any other way. So this is what the book looks like. And this was me in a moment of thinking, God, why would you want to use somebody broken like me? And
Mm.
then I realized that God specializes in using broken people.
Broken people, because broken crayons still color.
Mm-hmm.
You know, broken crayons still color, and the greater the brokenness, the greater the depth of serving and caring and delivering for other people. You know, I mean, this is. I'm glad I have recorded so I can go back and replay this. Woo! I mean, pure fire because there's just so much, you know, embracing the stretch and you know, people. The comeback king for me really is not because I just came back, but it's because of what you said. You know, I've said, hey, I'm grateful for this struggle, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's you know, it's about embracing it and like you're talking about, Candice, just amazing. Amazing. So, where do people get the book, and how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I love that. So the book, and I want you to know if you decide to buy it on Kindle, please leave a review
Yes.
because your review is going to be reviewed by somebody else, and that could help them make a decision to have this strategy in their hand to change their mind about the way they see life. So it's on Amazon, The Stretched Out Life. Of course, there's my maiden name on the book. So I was Andrews before I became Bailey. And God is so amazing because Bailey means bridge. So now I'm a
Mm,
bridge that persons can cross on from one part of their experience to the stretched out life ahead. So it's on Amazon. And if you're in the US, by the way, that's another episode how I migrated to here.
yeah,
So it
yeah. You
was,
know, we gotta get to that.
yeah, it was migration, marriage, ministry, all the M's in one. So if you are in the US and you're saying, Candice, I want to get a signed copy, signed, sealed, and delivered, I can do that. You can reach out to me on Facebook at Candice Andrews Bailey. Candice Bailey, and then you could reach out to me on Instagram at Speak with Candice, and I'll be happy to write a heartfelt message and mail it straight to your door.
Wow. So hey, I would encourage everybody to do that. Isaac said, you got him thinking I got to write my story too. Yeah, man, we need to hear that. And for all of you that are going to hear this, make sure you reach back out to her and play this thing again. And listen, there's those of you spending money to go get some counseling. There's $1,000 at least per section of what we talked about here. So the value of the information today, Candice, has just been phenomenal. I mean, the authenticity, the honesty, and just the real, just being who you are is why we have you on the show. Because you are living proof that it's the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And the speaker and author, I can see that. So, I could keep you all day, but I already kept you 10, 15 minutes longer than I normally do, Candice. But I want you just to give a parting word after everything you've summarized and shared today.
Mm-hmm.
What two pings I'll give you two because it's hard to do one, but if you have one, that's fine. And you want to leave these folks with that you haven't already just laid out some just killer stuff, girl.
Yeah, I want to tell persons, guess what? What I love about the beginning of a new month, it just gives you an opportunity to start again and continue afresh. And I want to let you know, take this month of October and embrace every stretch that comes your way. And then at the end of October, message Geoff and say, Geoff, I've embraced this stretch and this is what my life looks like. Because every person that you believe is great and accomplished something amazing today, they would have had to embrace the stretch. And sometimes they don't get opportunities to tell you what the stretch looks like, but you just get to see the success.
Yeah.
So, what I want to tell you today is give yourself grace, remove the guilt, forgive yourself, forgive others, and ask God and talk to yourself and say, hey, I know I have more in me. There's more in 2024, and I want to finish and complete this year stronger than when I started. So that's what I want to share with you all. You know what? You are going to look so much more different when you embrace this stretch, and you're going to thank yourself that 30 days ago, when you get to the end of this month, you said, you know what? I wanted more. So more looks like stretching.
Come on. See, peeling that layer off, stretching, peeling some more, keep stretching because the stretch goes on and on and on as we go deeper and deeper and deeper into what we're meant to do. So, Candice, man, beautiful. Thank you so much. Did we tell people how to get a hold of you? I know we got the book, and how can we got that covered, right? I mean, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, Candice Bailey on Facebook and at Speak with Candice on Instagram. And that's Candice with a Candice, no A, right? And and of course, get through to Geoff and you could get through to me. He
Yeah.
knows how to find me. So, yeah.
How to do that. Anybody looking for a speaker, that you're booking an appointment, so someone is doing that, I encourage you to reach out to my friend. And obviously, you won't be sorry for doing that. So, Candice, thank you so much. Beautiful time here, and
Thank you.
we'll have to have you back because we just turned page one of the book, and there's a whole lot more to turn. So,
Yes.
great job. Thank you so much.
Yes, I appreciate that. And Geoff, before we go, I forgot, for persons who are not on social media, you could just type in the name of the book, The Stretched Out Life at gmail.com. The Stretched Out Life at gmail.com. You could connect with me there. I'm happy to impact your audience and your community.
That's the stretched.
Yeah,
I'm
The
terrible.
Stretched
Okay.
Out Life at gmail.com.
Pack it in here so they can get it. The stretched out life. How do you spell stretch? You know, never did win any spelling bees in my life.
Yeah, I know it's a funny word. So it's STRETCHED out live. And I think I'm gonna put it in the chat here with us too.
Yeah, stretched out life. Yeah. Stretched out life at gmail.com.
Yep.
Beautiful. We got it. All right, young lady. We'll talk to you again soon. Thank you so much. Fantastic.
Yes, thank you so much too. God bless you. And I look forward to another conversation soon.
See you later. Bye-bye. Hey, well, listen, I know you guys are probably all back to lunch or wherever you're at. Make sure you reach out to Candice and take advantage of this and re-listen to this from the beginning to the end, and then listen to it again and put it in your library. Share it with your friends that have been married a long time, just getting married, thinking about getting married. There are so many things in this 50 minutes that she's dropped in here that you can definitely take away from right now. Right, and embrace the stretch, man. Oh, I'm gonna say that so many times, and I'm gonna claim it because I just love the power and the vision of that going on. So we're gonna thank everybody. Isaac, thanks for showing up, man, and appreciate you. And write that book, write that story. We need to hear it. And Candice, thank you. Yes, ma'am. I loved it as well. Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, as I wrap this thing up, subscribe, set the notification bell, reach out to Candice, and remember that stinking thinking no longer has to be the blockade from you stretching your life out, for you stretching out, changing the way you think, changing how you live, and changing the impact on those around you. Most important, living your best life through the stretch. All right, hey, we'll see you next time on Conversations with Geoff. And remember, you are meant for more. Nothing shall stop you from reaching your destiny. You shall not be denied. Stinking thinking will not be the reason. Don't let it be you. See you on the next episode.